Hey everyone, how's it going? Today is November 15th and I'm working on getting the snowblower back together because I don't know if you can see out there, but we've already had probably 4 snowfalls and about 3 to 4 inches of snow total. So winter, I guess you could say, has arrived. The lakes are frozen over by me and I just want to try to get this thing going so I can use it. But essentially what I had to do was, well, I got a new carburetor. The reason I didn't rebuild the old one was because a new carburetor was $22.95 or something on Amazon and a rebuild kit was $23.95. So I decided, well, I might as well try a new carburetor and keep the old one just in case, and if I need to I can rebuild that one. So I've got a brand new carburetor for this. I've got all new fuel line. I decided to remove the sediment bowl and just install an elbow. That way I could have a shut-off valve and an inline fuel filter. But I could have probably used the sediment bowl if I wanted to, but the screen that was in it was shot and I'd have to make my own screen because I haven't been able to find one, which isn't a huge deal, but I'd rather just err on the side of caution and, you know, use something that's already made. You know, for the cost of an inline fuel filter, I think it's like $3, so that was nothing. A points and condenser I had to install, and I gotta give a big shout out to Rudy because he hooked me up with a set of points and condenser. He also tested the coil for me, and that tested out good. So I got the side of the motor all buttoned up, flywheels back on. The point gap is set to 20 thousandths, and the magneto air gap is set to about 13 thousandths. Anywhere, it lists that anywhere from 12 thousandths to 15 thousandths, so I said, well, I'll put it at 13 and call it good. So that's all set. I did have to replace one of the wires coming from the coil to the points because there was a break in it, so that's probably why it didn't have spark. But I replaced that wire. I also replaced the kill switch wire. You can see it here, but I've actually got to route it down to this little area here. It actually goes in this small clip right here on the carburetor linkage plate. So I got to get that hooked up and then install the carburetor and the shrouding over here, install the gas tank, put the spark plug in it, mount the controls and everything back on, and I think then it's just a matter of seeing if it's got oil in it and putting some gas in it and seeing what happens. So that's almost ready to go. Another thing I did, since I was going over to Rudy's, you guys know I was having some carburetor problems with the Minneapolis. I took the carburetor over to Rudy's and we soda blasted the whole carburetor, tore it all apart, took a look at everything. We did find a couple of plug passageways. They were plug solid, so that's the culprit there. And I also found that the float was crushed inside there, so I had to order a new float, and that should be here today. I'm gonna have to go check the mail. It might be here already, but I just got to throw the new float in it. And I noticed that the fuel in that screen for the elbow has a break in it, so I'm gonna make an attempt at soldering it again because I soldered it in one area already, but this one's right up by where it connects to the elbow. But I'm going to do that really quick and throw the carburetor back on, see what happens. But I think for starters, well, I'll I'll solder the elbow, and then I'll work on getting the Montgomery Ward back together completely. And yeah, there's not much left, you know. Spark plug, a couple screws and linkages, some shrouding, the muffler, and you know, the fuel lines here, and the new carburetor, which is right here in this box. So I might as well take that out and show you. Whoop. Here you go. Not bad, you know. Ordered it right off Amazon, $22.95. So yeah, and I think these carburetor settings, this one here would be your load or your high speed, and then this one will be your idle or low speed adjustment. So I'm going to probably set both of them to about 1.5 turns out from seated and go from there. But let's see if I can't get some solder on this, and maybe I can get some, see my shop light up here doesn't work when it's cold very well, so I'll have to use my flashlight so you guys can kind of see what's going on. I don't know if that's going to work or not. You probably can't see that too well. See, this GoPro's about had it. I dropped this thing again, and the whole base of the GoPro mount broke off, or the GoPro mount on the camera case rather. So we'll see what happens here. Soldering iron should be plenty hot. I just don't want to get too much lead solder on the threads here. I could scrape it out with a razor blade, but let's see here. See if this works. I don't know. It's not really working like I'd hoped. Maybe I gotta throw some flux on here and try it that way. Well, kind of warm to the touch. Oh, that did not work at all. Son of a gun. Well, I almost ripped the whole screen off. So, there is a filter inside the tank, so I might just have to remove the screen here completely. I don't think this is going to work. Oh, there's a couple more holes in this screen. Yeah, I don't know. I think the screen's pretty much done. There's a couple more holes in it here that I just saw, so I think the screen inside the tank will have to do what it's supposed to do, so I'll just take the screen off. Sometimes things don't always work out like you plan, so it is what it is. But I'll clean this up with a drill bit. I'll just use my fingers and turn it in there. But oh well, it is what it is. So let's go check the mail and see if the float's in there, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I got the float in the mail. Here's the new float, straight from Steiner, excuse me. Got all the screws out of the throttle body and bowl. So, just got to change out the float itself. And I shouldn't have to mess with the float height. It should already be pretty well set. So there we are with that. I suppose I could probably, just for mechanics' sake, I could measure where the old float was set at, just to be sure. So I'm sure, knowing my luck lately, I would be tearing it back apart. So let me see here. I always keep my 30 seconds ruler on hand to see where we're at. Looks like about oh, 1 and 11/32 to the bottom of the floats. One and 11/32. So we'll get the new one in here. suppose I could go up with it, or down rather. And the way you want to adjust these is you don't want to push or pull on these actual floats. You want to bend it back here on the arm. So I gotta find a better spot to set this, but there's really, my workbench is so full of stuff right now. You guys probably can't really see from that far away, but it's right at about 11, 30 seconds. Come up a little bit with this one. Right about even, so should be good there. But let's put it back together, and you can see it's nice and clean inside now, so that's good. Hopefully this thing will run like a top, and we won't have to worry about it again for a long time. But just going to get this back together, tighten everything down, and we'll start working on the snowblower. Alright guys, we got everything back together. So in case any of you were wondering, the kill switch wire goes into this small clip here. There's a little lever, or a spring-loaded lever, that that holds the clip, or the wire, in place. I guess the wire goes through a nylon insert. There's a small hole in it, and then there's this just piece of spring steel, I guess you could say, that just keeps that wire in place. So the carburetor's on. New fuel line is on with the shutoff valve and the filter. That's just the elbow I upgraded to, so everything's good there. I haven't put fuel in it yet, but I did test the spark, and we got really hot blue spark, so that's good. This is kind of our full throttle setting, or it doesn't really have a hand throttle per se. It's just, it runs off of just the governor. So down, I would assume, is idle, up is full throttle, choke, down to choke, up to turn off the choke. But I'm going to add a little bit of oil. I think I've got, it calls for 5W20 in the winter or straight 30 in the summer, so I'm going to see if I've got some 5W20 laying around, and we'll add some oil and go from there. So wish me luck. Alright, let's see what happens here. Choke on, pull to start. seem to be working.
carburetor, but alright, let's go put the carburetor back on the Minneapolis. Alright guys, well, so far we're 1 for 1.
Let's see if we can't go 2 for 2. Put the carb back on this thing, and then we'll do obviously an extreme cold start since it hasn't been ran in, well, a long time. And I'm actually going to have to adjust that fuel inlet. You know, I finally understood why farmers wear bibs. Get so many pockets in these things, you can keep all your tools in them. Now this thing should, theoretically, run excellent. Let's hope. It's been quite a while since I started this. I don't even remember. Let's see, it's the middle of November now, so it probably was at the latest it was probably early October, but more than likely it was September. So okay. That's good there. And my screwdriver. Yeah, I'll tell you guys, I'm ready for a break from all this stuff. I'm ready for things to just start working right. I had to take the battery out of the John Deere because that was dead as a doornail, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but it's probably just from sitting for so long. But choke's on. Oh, gotta reinstall the clamp for the air cleaner tube here. Okay, choke's on, fuel line's on, air cleaner's on, carb bolts are tight. Not really much else we can do except put the muffler on and see where we go from there. Make sure it's in neutral. Alright, I think we got fuel in it. Yeah. Okay. Give it about half throttle. roughly. Give it some choke. Move the camera so you guys can see. And let's see. Let's see what happens. One disadvantage to bibs. All your tools come flying out. Probably help if I turn the fuel on too. Well, I see the fuel swirling in the bowl, so it's got to be filling up. Okay, good pop, turn the choke off. Give it a little more fuel. Well, we got fuel. It popped, so we know we got fuel. I don't want to flood it, and it might already be flooded. Whew. I'm not getting anything dripping out of the overflow. Well, let's try choking it again. I didn't have it choked enough. Let's see where we're at with idle. guys. Well, gonna do a cold start on the Farm All M here. It's probably been, I don't know, we got it stuck in the beginning of October, so it's been about a month since it's been started probably. So we will do this one, and then we did the Minneapolis. We'll probably do the H after this, but I gotta do I gotta pick up a pile of leaves and then pick up the rest of that ash from that big brush pile I burned up. So out here. I already cleaned most of them up today, but this is the first time I've used the tractor to pick up any, so. those of you who have a trip loader, a good way to not dig into the ground. Right now the top few inches is frozen for me, but even still, these things are notorious for digging down into the dirt. But when you lower the bucket, as soon as you hit the ground, trip the loader, and it will actually pitch the cutting edge of the bucket upwards so that it rides or floats better on the ground. So I gotta get a shovel so I can put that stuff in the bucket. See if I can't dump some of this down in that hole I got stuck in. That area is going to be forever off limits. I was already sunk down almost halfway up my front wheels, so I had to get the heck out of there. Fuel off on this, and then yeah, you can see I had plenty of mud in there, so it's a good thing I got out of there when I did. That's the last thing I need, is to get stuck
in a mud hole and the ground is half froze. So we'll let this one run out of fuel, and let's get the F20 up here. I'm trying not to store any of the tractors down in there, because in the springtime I don't know how soft it's going to be when everything melts, so I want to keep everything up on high ground. So we'll fire up the F20 and see if it starts. Anyway, it's been a while since I started this one, so I think my oil can is still in the box here. Nope, that's all right. We're not going to run it long, but I'll kind of go through the starting procedure again for those of you who haven't really watched much on this tractor. So the way I usually do it, I give it about a third throttle, turn the fuel on. Oh, there's my oil can. Give it the full choke. I might as well oil, let you guys kind of see how that works. So there's little cups on top here. Just need a couple squirts of oil in each cup, and that lubricates the valves. There's little troughs up there underneath the valve cover, and that is that's what lubricates those valves. So then from here I turn the spark off, which is all the way up. Give it a couple cranks. Till I see gas drip out. Now this thing's cold, so it might take a couple tries. Why not? Minneapolis was. Turn the fuel off and let it run out, but yeah, pretty pleased with that. So the only ones we got left are the John Deere and the Farm All H. We can do the Farm All H, but I don't have the battery in the John Deere, so that one's gonna have to wait probably till another time, but it'll happen before too much snow flies. So maybe in the next video we'll do the John Deere and the Farm All H, but this video is already long enough. I'm pretty sure I'm close to an hour now, so we'll let that F20 run out of fuel and give you guys one little panoramic of all the tractors here. And that's gonna do it. So thanks for watching, thanks for wrenching with me, and stay tuned, because the next video is going to have a special surprise in it. Oh, and alright, I can't end the video here yet, so give me a few minutes. Okay guys, first of all I want to say congratulations to Lauren. He's the one that won the 200 video giveaway, so thanks everybody for giving it a shot, and I wanted to give you guys the correct answers here. So let's see. The first question, what year is each one of the 6 tractors I currently own? It's a 1941 Case SC, 1947 Farm All M, 1942 Farm All H, 1938 F20, 1942 John Deere A, and a 1944 Minneapolis ZTU. The second question is, what is the longest running production tractor that John Deere manufactured? That was the Model D. It was produced from 1923 to 1953. So it's the longest running tractor they ever produced. What does the term OHV stand for? That's overhead valve. What are the 4 cycles of a 4-stroke engine? Intake, compression, power, exhaust. What was the main and unique characteristic about the Euclid crawler tractor? Now there were a couple things that you could have said and they would have been fine. The unique thing that I was looking for was the articulating chassis, and each side was driven by its own respective engine. So it was a 2-engine crawler, and it had an articulating chassis specifically for hillsides, so they could, you know, be on a hillside and still be somewhat stable. So that was those were the 5 questions and answers. Congratulations to Lauren, and I'll get your prizes together in short order, I hope. I'm waiting on a couple of things to get them sent out to you. So other than that, I guess there is another new addition. Real quick, you guys can meet Marmalade. And I know what you're thinking. No, this is not my dog Roxy. She is no longer with us, but we came across Marmalade at a pet rescue, and her owners, the husband, had gotten leukemia. So she was originally going to be in the show circuit for the Dog de Bordeaux, or the French Mastiff, whatever you want to call it. But since they were dealing with the cancer, they could no longer pursue that, nor could they devote the time that she needed to get the attention she needed and the love she needed. So we went and looked at her. We weren't sure if we were ready to pick up another dog yet, but man, we fell in love with her and she fell in love with us. So there was a lot of interesting divine interventions that led to us taking her home, I think. So she's right at home. She just turned 2 years old and she's been great. So welcome. But with that,
we'll get another video posted hopefully early next week, because I got some things, some news I want to deliver. Plus we got to do some cold starts on the Farm All H, the Case SC, and I'll try and get the battery back in the John Deere A so we can do that one too. So, all right, now I can say goodbye. Thanks for watching. Thanks for wrenching with me, and stay tuned. More to come.